I'll start. Nick, just firstly, just coming back from the concussion protocol, can you just sort of tell us sort of how you're sort of feeling, how long you've been training back fully, and just what's the sort of thoughts about getting into this week against Argentina?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. Head's all sweet. It was a good chance also to get home for a couple of days, which is always nice. But the normal concussion protocols followed that and had no problems, and trained for pretty much back with the Brums boys. We had about 5 or 6 days in with them, which was good. Good to see those boys again. So pretty keen for that.
Is when you get to test yourself as a forward pack against the Springboks, who consider the best in the world, back-to-back World Championships, is that just a sort of nice reminder of you've come this far, but there's still sort of several steps you've got to take to really match with the best in the world?
Yeah. Obviously the world champs and a decent and a great forward pack, and individually there's some great players there, like Evan Etzbeth, if you look across personally, playing in something like that, that's he's one of the great players in the world. So there's always things you try and match with, individually and collective. So obviously we're not where we want to be, but there's definitely goals that we're aiming towards, and ticking little boxes along the way. But we know we've got a bit to work on there.
In terms of those work-ons that sort of rolling north, I think they scored 3 tries in that second half, just to sort of run away with that game in Perth. I know you weren't there for that, but how much of the focus is really just solidifying that area, just to sort of get that all-round performance when you come against a very solid Argentinian pack?
Obviously we've highlighted that as a key work-on for us. It's fine margins at Test footy, I'd say. So there's little 1%ers that if you don't nail them at that time, you get stung. So we've been putting a bit of effort into that, and looking where we can all get better, poking each other in the chest, and that's pretty much all we can get around from that point of view.
Hey Frosty, sort of a different one. Like obviously you came through a bit of the Crusaders Academy. I'm just curious, do you ever keep in contact with any of those guys, or the Sam Whitelocks of the world that you might have spent a bit of time with? Do you ever tap into things that he might have said or still might say to you?
I keep in contact with a lot of the boys who I live with, and a lot of boys in my age group, and there's a fair few coming through from the Canterbury, the Crusaders, and the All Blacks environment. So it's always good to play against them in Super Rugby, and then when you get the chance at a test level, that's always great too. So in terms of catching up from a Sam Whitelock point of view, no, nothing there. It'd be quite hard to get secrets across, obviously being Australian in that point of view there. But it's always good to play against those people, and they're good mates of yours, and see them doing well.
What have you discovered in taking on Argentina in recent years, or last year as well, and what's the key to stopping them?
They're very, very emotional side, we find. So they ride the crowd pretty well. So we found out the hard way a couple of years ago in San Juan. They did a good number on us. They had a big vocal crowd. So, but it's always fun playing the Argentinians. They bring a lot of passion. It's a fast game, and you play against them, fast and physical. They like to run the ball around. They like to kick. They like to show off a bit of flair. So it's a good game. It's a good spectacle of rugby to watch as well.
And it seems like you're really growing into this international season, like even throughout Super, like you spent a bit of time at 6 on the bench. That kind of started with the test season, but you've very much seemed like you've cemented yourself in that starting 15. How have you kind of felt like your season's gone, and how are you finding life under Joe as well?
Life under Joe's good. He doesn't give much away, which is also a good quality of his. He gives you little bits, but he's quite detailed on what he wants from you. So, he gave me a few areas to work on, and you obviously got to keep chipping away at those. But the season was good. I had a bit of fun at 6. Every Locks kind of dream to go out and play a bit wider. So that was a bit of fun, and time on the bench, time starting, I moved around, but. I think it's just been kind of not a building year, but things to work on and to keep striving for. You can't just sit on your laurels there. So that's probably one thing that I've tried to learn and keep going. Is you got to strive to get better, and there's some areas that I had deficiencies in, and I've got to keep working on those.
Nick, you referenced that the 2022 series when you're over here for the 2 games, that loss, but that win in the first sort of game you're over here, what did that teach you about just managing the crowd and managing what to sort of expect when you run out in the field on Saturday, just in terms of that emotional side of things that Argentina will bring to this game?
It was great. It was a good experience. It was one of my first times from a bigger kind of crowd, and it was, as I said, it was a good win for us. It was cool though. The stadiums are slightly different. Everything's it's a different perspective over here. So I really enjoyed that. Even though they are cheering for the other team, it pumps you up too. It's an atmosphere that you kind of ride off. So. And then obviously the following week it was even better from a crowd and atmosphere point of view. But obviously the result we didn't put on a good performance that week. So we know, especially from the Argentinians at the recent game, New Zealand. One week they're on the most points they've ever scored, or anyone's ever scored in New Zealand, and then the next week again New Zealand fight back. So there's. You don't know what Argentinian team you're going to get, which is also a cool thing. So you've got to be at your best.
How are you finding the battle for the halfback spot?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good challenge. Obviously there's a 3-way tussle between all of us. Jakey obviously started the year brilliantly. And Whitey played good games as well, So I just really enjoy working with those two fellas. We're all competitive. We all want that 9 jersey, and I just love that how much those boys help me out in areas that I need to work on. So I'm really grateful to have them in this squad to learn off and bounce ideas off as well.
You've been in that finishing role a bit. When you get on, how sort of eager are you to do well?
Yeah, that's your role as a finisher. So every time, to answer your question, I'm just keen to kind of add energy, add speed to the game in whatever way I can. And obviously against the South Africans it was pretty tough out there, but we'll be looking to kind of bring a little bit more energy to our game in general the next couple of weeks.
I just had a question for.
Sure, just ask.
Sorry, Mel, go again.
Siri.
It's okay.
Oh, no.
One of my kids. Anyway, I'll try and ask a question quickly. Just about the crowd in Buenos Aires. I remember back in the day being there, and they had the pointers out with trying to blind people taking goal kicks, and it was really hostile. Is it still like that there, or is it actually pretty, tame? Or what's your thoughts about playing there?
I've only ever played maybe 2 or 3 games for the Red Set in Buenos Aires. So the atmosphere, it's going to be a different stadium to where we usually play at Aguaras at. But it was hostile. I remember it's almost like we went to a football match the other night. Football matches back home are pretty different to football matches over here. So that's the only comparison I'd kind of liken it to, because we're not used to seeing the crowds as big as that, particularly at a Super Rugby level, and then just to see the passion in the crowd, the chants, people jumping up and down, all that kind of stuff. So it's an incredibly good experience as a player to come over here and play. But it means that you've got to try and do your best to, navigate all those challenges that a big crowd and a hostile crowd come with. So it's going to be a good challenge for us.
So you actually went to that stadium to watch the football, or was it another one in Buenos Aires?
Nah, so we went to River Plate. I'm not a massive football fan, so I'm not quite sure what the stadium's called, but it was huge and it was a great experience.
Yeah, I remember when you guys, when the Wallabies played there. That's showing my age back in the day.
Yeah.
Hey, Tate, don't tell too many people you're not a football fan in Argentina, but you used the word energy beforehand. It's not always easy as a halfback coming on when the game's kind of lost in the second half. So what are a couple of things from an energy perspective the Wallabies can do to ensure that they're in the contest early on?
I think a lot of our energy is being zapped out of our attack. So the way we're attacking, we're struggling to kind of to hold the ball for multi-phase and in particular cut teams apart with our attack, particularly in phase play. So I think we've put a little bit of time and effort into our attack over the last couple of weeks to try and make sure that we're not just giving teams the ball, because we're kicking the ball away quite a bit, but it's because our attack isn't doing exactly what we're kind of said we're going to do. So I think from an energy point of view, that's the biggest thing that we can try and regain a little bit more energy by investing a little bit more time into our attack, particularly at the breakdown. We've been losing a lot of ball at the breakdown and had quite a few skill errors. It was tough conditions in Perth, but for us, if we can look after the ball a little bit more rather than resort to kicking it away, I think that'll go a long way into our kind of energy for the whole game, not just in that back half.
And before the World Cup's kind of got underway, you were pretty optimistic around the Wallabies attack and the shape last year around how things were progressing. But now obviously it didn't eventuate, but with Joe, he's very detailed, very structured. How have you kind of found the differences, almost 12 months on from when you guys took on France in Paris, where you guys thought things were progressing well then?
Yeah, it's obviously pretty different the way we want to attack. It's also very different to the way that I'm used to at the Reds. We play a very expansive game, and Joe's plan for us is pretty narrow. So when we're narrow, as in that's the width we want to attack. So it's very direct and a skillful game plan at the line. But our adjustment period's probably not quite where we need it to be in regards to how we play as Super Rugby teams and how we want to play here, because it's very different to how every Super Rugby team plays back there. So I think that's what we're seeing at the moment, a little bit of we're slow to react a little bit at the moment, and it's hurting us in key moments. And I think the way the attacks, there's a definite plan in place, and the boys are trying really hard to nail that plan. But we've got a little bit of work to do on how it looks and how we can make it look in a game.
Might come to the room in a sec, guys, if there's anything else.
Hey Tate, was that River Plate versus what's the name, Newell's older boys?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, mate.
Learn all the songs, Dave.
Newell.
Did you have anything in the room?
Yeah.
Or, but Batista, did you have anything online? No. Did you have anything in the room?
I was just going to ask, just from a leadership perspective, you guys are two of the younger, you're not that young, but you're two guys that are still pretty young in this squad. How important is it? Do you guys feel like a leadership voice needs to be found for one person, or are you quite happy all playing your part in it?
I think we've definitely got obviously a lot of leaders throughout the group. From a forwards point of view, obviously there's a fair few leaders like Alan Slips. They're great voices there, but then individually from a line out and things, you obviously got to step up there. You got to lead it. I'd probably say it's a bit similar with. In general, with the nines and tens, the leaders of attacking out the voice in their back line. So we have our top leaders, what you would say, obviously the captains and the vices, but everyone on the field in their roles and their strategic leadership positions have to step up. Anything on that, Tate?
No, I think obviously start of the year with Liam Wright and his injury was pretty upsetting for him, his first time in a jersey for quite a while. But I think the way that Alan and Slip have handled themselves, obviously a couple of injuries here and there for them both, but they're brilliant leaders, and the boys respect them 100%, and will follow them into battle. So I don't think there's a leadership issue with too many voices. I think it's a pretty narrow leadership group as well, so they're doing a good job.
For Nick, because I know that we are going to talk to you, Tate, later. For all you guys there online, it's Monumental, the stadium where River Plate was performed the other night. Nick, you said you don't know what team from Argentina you are going to get. You have a very good match in Wellington and then in Auckland, of course, what you guys seen. But playing here in Argentina, of course, for Los Pumas is always something, you know, to be happy about.
Yeah.
But what do you think Argentina is going to show on Saturday here in La Plata?
Well, first of all, a lot of energy. We spoke about that, but a lot of physicality. You know, like I mentioned before, the passion, the pride, and it's like any nation playing at home. You know, you want to put on a good performance for your home crowd, and you take a bit of an extra, 10% because you are playing at home. So, I said a bit of it'll be fast paced, but yeah, a bit of physicality. Definitely from a forwards point of view. There's obviously a few set piece battles there, but looking forward to it. To be honest, we spoke about the crowd, and I mentioned before, it's cool to play these stadiums and these grounds around the world. That's kind of why you play as well. You get to experience something like this, so you don't really take it for granted that you get an atmosphere or an opportunity to do that. So we're really looking forward to it.
And talking about the game, it is expected to rain a lot on Saturday. So do you think that that can change? You guys in your website and online, you talk about a lot of the kicking game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is going to be the main part of the game with the rain, and also the set pieces, of course, are going to be key on Saturday?
Yeah, if it is a bit wet, set piece, it might change a little bit. I can't talk massively on the kicking game because obviously I don't really kick the ball, to be honest. I don't think I've got a kicking license in the team. It's more Tatey, but you play to the conditions, and obviously from the boys' last game in Perth, they pretty much played in a monsoon. So I don't know if it can get any worse than that. But again, you do adapt to conditions if it is slippery. But again, that can't be the excuse. You got to adapt and learn and play and everything. And I don't think the game plan will alter too much from that point of view.
Thanks, guys. I've just got to take off to the next one, but if you can let me know about the embargo, otherwise we'll stick to the 12 p.m. tomorrow.